name is Aindrila Mitra. A complete Calcutta born and bred girl. I did my schooling from Calcutta, went on to do my college from St. Xavier's, where I did an honors in English literature. Post which I went to Pune to do my postgraduate diploma in mass communication from Symbiosis. And then after that, I was actually working with the Times of India. I think for most journalists in India, TOI is like the mecca that, at some point in time of your career, you kind of pass through. I fortunately started my career with the Times of India. I was with them for about 3.5 years. And then I went to London to pursue my further studies, where I did a master's in online journalism and digital media. And this was way back in 2007 when, digital media was not even that big in India. So it was really an eye-opener for me, So when I came back to India in end of 2008, 2009, the whole world of digitization of content was just kind of picking up. So I've seen that transition, I've been through that transition, and honestly, it's just been a remarkable journey. It's very rarely do you find a combination where you love what you do and you're getting paid for it. I've just been lucky, and I thank the universe every day for that opportunity. It's of course, without an iota of doubt, the travel and hospitality industry, I think, was one of the worst impacted because of COVID-19. There were more than about, I think, 100 million jobs that were lost, if I'm not mistaken. But I think that's the last data that I know of. And of course, there has been a huge transition in terms of how the travel industry, what the travel industry went through in the last, 6 to 10 months, and how it is reviving right now, right? So there's a lot of focus, and that's something that I think I personally believe in as well. Is the importance of responsible travel, is the importance of sustainable travel, it's the importance of supporting local communities. That little tips that you give to your guide, probably that he makes a living and he feeds his children with that guiding money that you're giving him. All of that stopped for a good 10 months. It is picking back now. But, we did really go through a very, very hard time. And I feel now more than ever, it's very, very critical for the industry to stand together, and everybody, whether it's, industry insiders, whether it's the ancillary folks who work with the industry remotely, it's very, very important for us now to kind of support each other. And when I say that you need to support each other, I mean that as a traveler, as someone, who would like to explore or who would go on that holiday every year, be a little more conscious about the holiday that you want to take now. There is, it should be really more than just going and lazing. I think the whole trend is really going to be about mindful travel. So how your travel at a personal level can impact the society at large. Whether it's a small boutique property that is run by the local community, that is supporting local artisans, that's supporting local culture, or even properties that really put a lot of importance on sustainability, on the environment. I think those are things that people would be looking for. So I feel the pandemic in a way has been an eye-opener, because there was a time that we were in this we were non-stop, right? There was absolutely no time to stop and breathe and look back and have a certain perspective. And I think the lockdown just did that for us. Whether we liked it or not, people actually got the opportunity for the first time, possibly, at least in the current generation in their lives, to look beyond what they were doing. And I think that's something which has really impacted people far and wide. As far as travel trends are concerned, like I said, I think mindful travel is definitely something that we feel is going to pick up. Eco-conscious travel or sustainable travel or conscious travel, as we call it, in at least in travel and leisure, India and South Asia, is something that is definitely going to be the trend forward. Also, I feel that there is going to be a lot of revenge travel that we're going to see in the quarters to come. And we see a bit of it already in the domestic market. Of course, the domestic tourism market is going to bounce back faster and is already seeing a bounce back, in fact. And I think that's going to continue through this year, where domestic travel is going to, have or take the lead. So, people who would normally just go on a European vacation would now look at maybe the north of India for that vacation. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because I think it's really important, because we live in an incredible country, right? I mean, India is truly incredible. And I think it gives us this opportunity to really go out and explore and discover the undiscovered. I think that's what the trend is going to be. Digitization is really going to be the way. It's not the way forward. It's what it is right now. It is what we are living in right now, and that's also probably why I studied this 15 years ago, right? Because honestly, I mean, even from an environmental perspective, I think it was very natural that you would go towards something that that's more responsible by nature. What I always harp on, and what I completely believe, is that there's absolutely going to be no dearth in terms of content consumption, and content is going to continue to be the king. But the way you consume content is going to change. So if you see the dramatic rise of OTT content consumption in the last 1 year, right? I mean, that's something which was unprecedented. That's something that one never expected, but it did happen, and people have gotten hooked to it. Big budget films have released on OTT platforms, which they would have never thought in their wildest dreams, right? That you're not getting a theater launch, but you're getting an OTT launch, but you're reaching out to millions and millions of people at the same time. So, mindsets are changing, perspective is changing. Like I said, there is always going to be need for good original content. There's always going to be need for specialized content. So a title, for example, the title that I handle right now, which is Travel and Leisure and Discover India, which happens to be India's oldest travel title. While there's always going to be a requirement or a demand for travel content, because people, our itch to travel is not going anywhere, right? It's always going to be existent. But I think the way they're going to consume that content in the coming generations is going to change slightly from the traditional way of content consumption. So, while you would have magazines, but you will probably have magazines in digital formats. You'd have more of AV content, that kind of appeals and gives you a more immersive experience to the readers and to the consumers. So, to answer your question, I think there will always be a need for niche content, and need for kind of specialized content. because there is going to be absolute no dearth as far as content consumption is concerned or need of content is concerned. But I think the way you're going to consume content in days to come is going to change. The format will change, but the idea of content itself won't. So people are still going to look for travel videos, travel write-ups, travel experiences. The way you tell the storytelling is going to continue, right? In whichever format it is, whether it's in a newspaper, whether it's in a magazine, whether it's as text format, as a podcast, as an audio story or as a video story. It's the core of journalism is really storytelling. Come to think of it. So, and that core, I don't see it changing at all. It's probably what's going to change, and what is already changing is the format in which the story is being consumed. But, the DNA still remains the same, which is storytelling. Honestly, what I feel and what I've kind of learned, I think, as an editor over the years is that if you're giving and telling genuine content with a purpose, if it's content that's value adding to one's life, whether it could just be a feel good experience that you're extending, it could be information that that's kind of adding knowledge to someone. As long as it's content that has some way of value addition, there's always going to be need and demand for that kind of content. So as long as your storytelling is genuine, as long as you know what you really want to tell your people and what you want to kind of empower your readers with, you will always do well. But I think, as I said, that with every crisis comes an opportunity, and it's really how you kind of swerve that opportunity towards your favor, and that's where the winners win, and that's how you survive, right? So I think one of the key things as a professional that I've learned, I've done this for 18 years now. So you are as good as your team. It's very, very important to build a team which is based on integrity, on faith, and most importantly, trust. And that's the only way that you'll be able to lead and succeed a successful brand. You are as good as your team. I think that is one professional lesson that I learned, and I learned, quite early in life, thankfully for the mentors that I've had in the early stages of my career, where they always kind of empowered youngsters, where they always kind of made sure and and inculcated this, that like I said, you as a leader, you're as good as your team. If your team succeeds, you succeed, you grow, and your team grows, and that's how it is. Or you grow with your team. So I think that's very, very critical as a professional, especially if you're in a leadership role. I think it's very important to keep that in mind. And then, of course, like, there are a couple of things which are non-negotiable, right? It's, of course, as far as integrity is concerned, your integrity at a professional level, at a personal level, is non-negotiable as far as I am concerned. It's something that also, I think it's also your education and the way and your upbringing that kind of has an impact on the kind of personality that you are. So for me, I think integrity is extremely important. Credibility, and I think with integrity comes credibility, and you see that over a period of time, right? And as a professional, you'll see that build over the years, right? That you become a credible name in the industry because of the integrity you've held and not let go of when times were tough. So yeah, I mean, I think professionally, those three things would be key for one to be really successful. And then, of course, I mean, there is absolutely no substitute to hard work, right? I mean, you have to go through the struggle to really to reach a certain level, and there's absolutely no substitute to hard work, and with and hard work and passion. So if you're really passionate about what you're doing, you will more often than not reach a certain level of success for sure. But you have to be passionate about it, because I think out of that passion, your hard work will just very intrinsically follow.